A young and beautiful woman meticulously prepared herself, putting on makeup and her finest jewelry, almost as if she were getting ready for a special event or a party. Only then did her boyfriend take her to the maternity hospital. It was Christmas Eve, and Peter, her boyfriend, was also present during the birth. As Iris gave birth to their son, she couldn't help but hope that Peter would finally propose to her. However, her hopes were dashed when Peter asked her if she was absolutely certain that the child was his. Iris expected any response but that, but before they could continue their conversation, a doctor, a colleague of Peter's, interrupted with a bracelet for Iris, which left her in tears. She couldn't fathom how her beloved could do this to her. Despite everything, she held on to the hope that he wouldn't abandon her and their child. Reluctantly, Peter agreed to stay with her, but things took a complicated turn. After Iris and their son were discharged from the hospital, Peter's phone displayed a message from his mistress. Iris called her, warning her to stay away from Peter. However, the student bluntly informed Iris that Peter wasted no time and started seeing her while Iris was pregnant. As they drove home, Iris confronted Peter about the affair, hoping to hear a different story. Peter admitted he had fallen in love with his student and had wanted to break up with Iris long before, but her pregnancy had derailed his plans. Iris was devastated and no longer felt the same about naming their son after Peter. Upon reaching home, they were greeted by friends and relatives who had gathered to surprise them. Peter asked his ex-girlfriend to pretend that everything was normal, and the evening was filled with admiration for the baby. Iris tried to put on a brave face, but the truth weighed heavily on her. The baby garnered admiration from everyone, while Iris tried her best to put on a brave face. Later in the evening, a party was held, with Peter's father giving a heartfelt toast in celebration of his first grandchild. However, the weight of the situation became too much for Iris to bear. In the following days, Peter's betrayal continued to unravel. He left Iris alone with their child and openly pursued his relationship with his student, who he would be spending 6 months abroad with. Iris, heartbroken and feeling betrayed, reached a breaking point. With time, Iris's life continued to spiral. She struggled to cope with the demands of motherhood and felt isolated from her friends and family. Iris found herself alone with the baby and wasn't thrilled by the presence of the dog walker. A nurse from the hospital visited Iris's house to provide assistance. She also tried reaching out to Peter through voicemails, asking him to return. The nurse taught Iris how to properly care for her baby, but Iris still struggled to manage on her own. Her entire world now revolved around her child, leaving her drained of energy. The nurse continued to visit periodically, but Iris still found herself feeling overwhelmed. Iris took her son and the dog for a walk, which briefly improved her mood. However, in the evening, she found herself in tears once more. Iris was disappointed when the nurse no longer visited her. One evening, Iris discovered that Peter had blocked her on Facebook and changed his phone number. In a fit of anger, she took a Christmas tree outside and set it on fire. Together with Cassandra, she went to a bar to unwind. Iris still held out hope that her beloved would return to her. But Cassandra believed she should not forgive Peter's betrayal. During their bar visit, the dog walker, named Dew, approached the women. The only people who stood by her side were Cassandra and Babette. Cassandra encouraged Iris to move on from Peter and consider dating other men without any strings attached. The following day, Iris took her son to the hospital for a checkup, The doctor noticed her exhaustion and recommended a blood test. Iris was so worn out that she almost left her baby in the doctor's office. In the hallway, she encountered one of Peter's colleagues and learned that he was openly involved with his student. This revelation left Iris feeling shattered. In a fit of anger, she left an envelope on the hood of Peter's car containing photos of their son and then scratched the paint. Soon, Iris, the host of a reality show, returned to work ahead of schedule. She wanted to divert her focus from her personal problems. One of her colleagues, Claudia, openly ridiculed her. But another colleague, Bart, was delighted to see her. The office was abuzz with gossip about Iris, who had been abandoned by her boyfriend shortly after giving birth. While walking with her child, she bumped into Ju again and greeted him. Iris confided in Ju about her loneliness, as even her mother had not been supportive and had left her alone during her maternity leave. Ju shared his story, explaining that he now walks dogs in place of his sister, who was seriously ill and unable to do so. On Saturday, Bart visited Iris's house, as planned, and prepared a fancy dinner. They shared a kiss, but their moment was interrupted when Peter unexpectedly appeared. He was visibly displeased to see his ex-girlfriend with another man. Peter looked through an album of photographs of their son, and Iris held on to hope that this might rekindle their relationship. However, when he received a call from his new love interest, Iris realized her hopes were in vain. It turned out that Peter and his lover were going to spend 6 months in another country. Iris promptly escorted him out of her house and proceeded to destroy his entire Star Wars collection. This act brought her a sense of satisfaction. The following day, she met with Babette, who confessed that she also considered living independently with her children without her husband. She had previously forgiven him for cheating but now regretted it. Later, Iris encountered Peter's colleague, believing he might be flirting with her. To her surprise, the man's interest was in Cassandra. Iris was learning to enjoy life without Peter and encountered Ju again in the park. She inquired about his sister, Laura, and expressed her admiration for his selfless dedication. Iris attempted to flirt with Ju, but he either didn't notice or chose to ignore her advances. One day, Iris's mother visited her, and their relationship had always been complicated. Iris harbored resentment toward her mother for not providing support during difficult times. Her mother explained that she had distanced herself due to stress, offering advice to clean up her appearance and consider forgiving Peter if he were to return. However, Iris was now uncertain about her readiness to forgive her ex-boyfriend for his betrayal. As her son began teething, Iris returned to the hospital for a checkup. The doctor seemed to understand the challenges she faced, assuring her that every woman experiences motherhood differently than expected. Iris's 30th birthday was approaching, and she decided to invite Ju to her house for a party. In a medical journal, Iris stumbled upon an article written by Peter, detailing his happiness in helping underprivileged children in a poor country. He mentioned his intentions to sell his house and continue his volunteer work abroad, as he believed nothing was holding him back in the Netherlands. Devastated and resentful, Iris coped by drowning her sorrows in alcohol, leading her to cancel her birthday celebration. Unbeknownst to her, Ju had come to her house with a gift. In her inebriated state, he carried her to bed. The next morning, Iris awakened with a hangover and was surprised to find Ju in her shower. She shared with Babette that she felt a connection with Ju, unaware that he had overheard their conversation. When she finally confronted Ju about her feelings, he surprised her by stating they were not a couple. This response left Iris flustered and confused. In the evening, Ju paid her in. Their interactions at work continued to be tense, particularly with Claudia. The boss even suggested Iris could leave if she didn't agree with the new projects, resulting in her seeking solace in alcohol with Cassandra and Babette at a bar. At the bar, they were approached by Peter's colleague, who flirted with Cassandra, and Babette also encountered a charming man. Iris, however, ended up drinking alone and subsequently invited Bart to her house. Their evening was disrupted when she accidentally dropped her son. Panicked, she rushed him to the hospital, with Bart driving her there. Iris arrived at the emergency room, holding her son, only to be stunned to find Ju in a white medical gown. It turned out that he was a pediatrician. Iris felt deeply ashamed for putting her child in danger. Fortunately, her son was unharmed. Afterward, Iris fell asleep on the hospital bed, and Ju gently covered them with a blanket. Mahjong, her mother, picked them up from the hospital, and Iris was surprised by her mother's support. Mahjong also began cleaning the house, urging her daughter to rest. She also initiated an open conversation with Iris, revealing a box of cards from her father, whom Iris had grown up without. These cards contained heartfelt letters from her father, who had left her and her mother when she was young. The revelation that her father had abandoned the family because he was gay and had died in a car crash with his partner left Iris in shock. Unexpected visit, but his tone was rather harsh. He disapproved of Iris's lifestyle, which involved drinking and constant complaining. Despite having a young child, Peter, if he had returned, unexpectedly invited Bart to her home for the weekend. Iris's mother also visited, and they had a heart-to-heart conversation, with her mother advising her to forgive Peter if he returned. Iris, however, was unsure if she could ever forgive him for his betrayal. As her son grew, Iris's struggles with motherhood continued, and she leaned on her friends for support. Eventually, Iris found a new purpose in life and embarked on a successful career path. She organized a charity event and caught the attention of her boss. Iris was proud of her accomplishments, and Mahjong looked after her grandson, allowing Iris to travel to Spain with her friend. However, the vacation was marred by Babette's constant nausea. While in Spain, Iris visited the site where her father's hotel used to stand, named after her but now long vacant. They also visited the local cemetery, only to discover that Iris's father was no longer buried there. After 20 years of neglect, unused graves were dismantled. Despite these disappointments, Babette managed to lift Iris's spirits. On a beach outing, Iris dreamt of seeing Ju emerging from the sea, but it was merely a dream. Along the way, she reconnected with Du, the guy who walked dogs, and started a promising project with him. As her life took a turn for the better, Peter returned, seeking to make amends, but Iris had moved on. Iris's journey was one of self-discovery and growth, as she learned to navigate the challenges of motherhood, love, and forgiveness, ultimately finding happiness and fulfillment in unexpected places. Over time, Iris's feelings for Ju continued to grow. She decided to confess her emotions, offering him coffee. From this point onward, Iris wanted to start her life anew, free from Peter and full of possibilities. A year passed, and Iris felt genuinely happy at the Christmas party. She maintained contact with Peter for the sake of their son, and her life seemed to be on the right track.